welcome to the Lunapod, where we talk all things K-pop.
This is our first podcast episode, so bear with us while we're getting used to talking in front of a mic. But we're going to start off by doing a K-pop intro tag that we sort of threw together.
And we did post our host introductions on our Instagram, so it's a little more in-depth, so please go check that out. But just to start off with super basic information, my name's Brooke, I'm 24. And just some things about me, my whole personality basically revolves around me loving horror, all things fall, and drinking way too much coffee, even well past midnight. I am a small shop owner, one K-pop related, one not. And I just play a lot of Animal Crossing.
I'm Brickell, and I am 22. I am an artist. I'm currently in school for game art and animation. I really love anything animated, playing it, watching it, anything like that. I also really like traveling, yoga. I'm a very open-minded person. I'm a Pisces, so I tend to just go with the flow. For both of us, we're both really into K-pop. We're mainly boy group stans.
Yeah.
But we also really like dramas and anime, just fangirling in general, which luckily we are located in Orlando, Florida, so fangirling is very easy because we have a lot of K-pop events going on all the time. It's a lot of fun. We love being here. So let's get into some more K-pop related questions. First question is, what was the first K-pop song you ever listened to?
So I'll start off. The first song I remember listening to was GOT7's Just Right. I had a friend in high school who was totally obsessed with K-pop, and so she showed me that song, and I know for a fact the first music video I saw was EXO's Call Me Baby, so that has always been a favorite of mine.
So for me, back in the day, during the One Direction era, a friend introduced me to BTS's DNA music video. I remember really liking it, but I just never dove into it. And then later on in time, I kind of got into League of Legends for a second, was introduced to KDA. And then when TikTok came around, TXT's Anti-Romantic was trending. I really loved that song. Again, though, didn't delve into the world of K-pop. And then my ex introduced me to the Rose and loved them, but then we broke up and I really just didn't further go into that. And then also, my brother and I, for years before all of that even, were listening to Blackpink, specifically Boombayah. Again, had no idea the world of K-pop even existed, but we just enjoyed Blackpink's music in general.
And so for the next question is just overall our K-pop journey. I ended up getting into K-pop during the pandemic. Perfect time for me to just dive into something and become obsessed. So I thought back to all the music videos my high school friend had me watch, and I wanted to dive deeper into it. And so I immediately texted my one friend that I knew was currently into K-pop, and she sent me loads of music videos. Her thing that she was very into was NCT, so that was kind of the first reintroduction into K-pop, which was kind of horrible. 23 members.
That is a rough intro.
That's a hard intro. That's a lot to take in. But yeah, that's kind of how I got back into K-pop, was pandemic and just binging like crazy.
Pandemic K-pop, baby.
Yeah.
So about a year later, after you were already in the world of K-pop, we met through work. Mm-hmm. And we were, long story short, we ended up deciding, hey, maybe we should be roommates. And this was before we even started talking about K-pop. And we decided to go on a trip to the beach just to see if our vibes were good, if we wanted to room together, kind of a thing. And you were driving.
What was I playing?
I think you were playing just random music, K-pop music, but God's Menu by Stray Kids specifically came up.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this song's really good. Who is this? And you were like, you don't want me to tell you this, do you really want to dive into this right now? And I was like, yes. I'm open-minded. I need something new to love, Anyway, and so Brooke officially showed me what the world of K-pop was, very specifically with God's Menu from Stray Kids. So from that point on, we basically started meeting up after work for hours, way late into the night. It's
4 a.m.
Yeah, just devouring K-pop content. Just fully sucked into this world. And during that time, you showed me ATs.
Yeah.
Deja Vu specifically. That was a huge tipping point into my love for ATs, but my love for K-pop in general. We watched Kingdom Legendary War. That was a big moment.
We never finished.
We haven't watched the final episode.
It's October. I swear on my life, we probably started the show almost about a year ago.
Yeah.
And we haven't watched the final
No,
episode. I think that's the only one we have left. They're just so long. And with the ads, it's like a 5-hour ordeal.
It is. Eventually, we will watch the last episode. Anyway, regardless, it's brought us along on this journey. We also watch K-dramas together. That's been a lot of fun. The Sweet Blood was one of our first ones. We also watched Color Rush. We watched a lot of content during those nights. We also, one night, we were super into K-pop. We were just vibing. We were talking about moving in together. And we impulsively bought tickets to go see One Us in Orlando, which was...
Like, what? A few days before they came?
Yes. It was so last minute, and we decided on the whim, like literally in our cars. Was it after a Denny's?
No. We bought our tickets in the parking lot. Was it on the way in or out of... I think it was Golden Corral.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, it was so impulsive. And that's actually, One Us is like a very big part of our K-pop journey in general. That's actually what we've named this podcast after, the Lunapod, after their song Luna. It just means a lot to us. This whole group is very foundational in...
Like our friendship.
Yes, everything about us. But since then we go to tons of boba events, cup sleeve events, we take lots of trips. We now live together and have been living together for a while now. I can't put a number on it. We've been living together for almost a year. And so, we're just able to feed off of each other this whole K-pop adventure. So that was about fall 2021, I think, is when you truly introduced me specifically to K-pop. During that whole introductory phase as well, Stray Kids was a big one, but one of the biggest turning points for me where I was like, wow, I am actually about to get really deep into K-pop right now, is when Brooke showed me Advice by Taemin. That was life-changing for me, and in that moment, my brain decided, yeah, we're gonna be obsessed with this. Yeah, so that's our K-pop journey, is kind of in a nutshell there. The next question is going to be, what was the first group you started to stan?
I kind of briefly touched on this, but NCT was that first bigger group that I got into, and I would say NCT and Super M were kind of the same time, because that friend was like, hey, Super M's about to have a comeback, and I remember they performed on Ellen, and I recorded it, and my parents were like, what in the world are you watching? So it was the first thing they ever saw, they even saw. But yeah, those were my two first groups.
That's understandable. Super M is everything. We will talk about them in the
future. Please come back, Super M.
Please come back. Again, I already talked about this as well, but the first group I technically started standing was Stray Kids after God's Menu. How do you not stand Stray Kids after God's Menu? Anyway, the next question is going to be, what are your top 5 favorite K-pop groups?
So, kind of in this order, but it changes constantly.
Oh, yeah. Throughout all of these, when we're listing, our top favorites, this changes on the daily sometimes.
Yeah, the list itself will change, so kind of ignore an order. There's really no order to this.
No. This is just how we're feeling in the moment,
yeah. So, as of right now, my top 5 groups are BTS, ATEEZ, Victon, NCT, and Monsta X.
A solid group.
It is.
A solid group. I am also ATEEZ. One Us, Day 6, Ace, and Hypen are probably in my top 5. And then collectively, we decided that Stray Kids needs to be in this list as well, since it was kind of a pivotal moment for our growth together. The next question, though, is going to be our top biases.
And mine is Hanse from Victon. I can't even begin to express how much I love this man. He means so much to me, and he's the kind of person, the more you learn about, you love him more. His personality and the way he carries himself is so, it's just very inspirational, and he's the kind of person where I want to tell him how much I appreciate him, because I feel like he needs that. So I love Hanse. 10 from NCT, and then San from ATEEZ, and Johnny from NCT.
Awesome. Mine are Wonpil from Day 6, Jimin from BTS. It took me a second to finalize a bias in BTS, but it took me a while, and I didn't quite it wasn't that I was choosing between certain members. It just nothing was really standing out, and then all of a sudden I was hit by a truck. Jimin entered my life and was like, I am your bias, stop playing around. So he is a very strong bias for me.
And I think it's funny that you struggled with your bias for them, which granted, biases aren't always based off looks, but compare him to your old bias.
It makes so much sense.
It makes sense.
It makes sense. I don't know why it took so long for him to...
The dots are connecting.
Yes, yeah, because my old bias, we'll talk about that in a second, but my old bias was decided so quickly. But in top biases list, I also have to mention Songhwa from ATEEZ. This man is a borderline old bias for me. He is everything. He is an angel. But jumping back to our alt biases, the next question is, who is your alt bias?
Mine's Yoongi from BTS.
Ooh.
He actually was not my original bias for the group. He was one that, like, literally... yeah, tea. Boba tea. He was the one that came out of nowhere. I bought a bunch of, like, fan-made photo cards off of Etsy. And at the time, RM was my bias. And then suddenly, I ordered these photo cards. And my friend was like, oh, is Yoongi your bias now? I'm like, what?
No.
I was like, no, it sounds like it's still June.
That's crazy of you.
Crazy talk, because majority of the ones I bought were of Yoongi. I was just blind, and I didn't notice yet. It didn't hit me. And then down the road, I'm like, oh, I'm kidding myself. It's Yoongi.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's a great guy. No, genuinely, he is amazing. I love how both of our BTS biases came up and kind of gave us a little
smack.
Mm-hmm. They're like, hey, stop messing around. My alt bias is Taemin. This, again, during that advice music video when everything shifted for me, he just became the most solid alt bias ever. And the funny thing is he was already enlisted by the time I was introduced to Taemin. I have had Taemin as my alt bias without any content for almost a year now.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. I love that man more than I can express. Enough alt bias talk. We will be doing an entire episode about our alt biases.
Pause before we ramble too much. But
yes.
Yeah, we will definitely have episodes specifically for our biases so we can just ramble all day long.
Which is what we do most days.
Yeah, most days. It's dangerous.
It is.
If you're out there and you live, like you and your roommate are K-pop stans, I'm sorry, because we know your pain.
Yes. Yes, but hey,
it's fun.
It's fun. Alrighty, the next question is going to be, what is your favorite debut?
100% Given, Taken, and Hypen.
Oh, yeah.
This song will be in my, like, top favorites forever, regardless, like, what we're talking about, like, debut, non-debut. Like, it's so good. They honestly have, like, every song they have.
They never release a bad song. Yeah, and Given, Taken, I almost chose this as my favorite debut as well. They're incredible. And seeing them in concert, I am not meaning to say this as bragging or anything, but it's just like seeing it in concert was life-changing. They are amazing. So I almost chose that as well, but I am going to listen here. I am not necessarily a newest stan, but newest's debut with their song Face is so good and it deserves a shout out. I listen to that song all the time, and so that is who I'm going to, they deserve that shout out. The next question is going to be, who are your top favorite soloists?
So, of course, with Yoongi being my old bias, my favorite soloist is going to be August D.
Shocking.
Ooh.
No, surprise, surprise. Taemin is in my top as well. So, collectively, we really love Jackson Wang, Woo Jin Young. Sunmi, B.I.
B is for B.I.
B is for B.I. Now, we are not going to go too much into this because we are going to have an entire episode dedicated to him. He plays such a big part in our K-pop journey and our discovery of different groups, different soloists.
Mm-hmm. All I'll say is I would just like to personally thank Pinterest, and that's where I'll leave it.
Thank you, Pinterest.
Then my personal favorites are Kai.
And mine are BY. We'll leave it there. The next question we are moving on to is going to be, what are your top 5 favorite songs?
So, overall, we both love Killing Me by Icon. That is on repeat. That will forever stay in the top.
That is probably, I know this is, I'm going to say top 3 favorite songs of all time. Possibly my top favorite song of all time. I know that's a bold statement.
You say that, but I see the list.
Ooh. Okay, top 3 for sure. But Killing Me by Icon is just everything. Mm-hmm. Everything. Also kind of explains our love for B.I.
That's true. The next one we collectively love is Mayday by Victon. And then Frost by TXT as well. The performance video for that,
So good.
one of my favorites.
Life-changing, honestly.
It really is.
Strawberry Cake by Extraordinary Heroes is also one that we absolutely love. For me personally, I love Bang 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 by Big Bang. I Need Someone by Day 6. Burning Up by Monsta X. Reload by Just Be. And Might Just Die by History.
And then my personal favorites are Flame from BI, Getting Closer by 17, Rescue Me by Day 6, Lit by Want Us, and Yesterday by NCT.
The next question is going to be, what are your favorite music videos? Obviously, Luna from Want Us is both in our top favorites.
Basically, the namesake of this podcast.
The Lunapodcast, yes. It's everything.
And then personally, some of my favorites, usually because they're more just like cinematic and visually pleasing, are Dejota August D, Blood, Sweat, Tears by BTS, I'm a Bee by Hwasa, 100 Ways by Jackson Wang. His were hard to choose from because they're all so good. And then Peaches by Kai is definitely one of my other tops.
For mine, I tend to love story-based music videos. So Advice by Taemin is in the top there, No Diggity by Want Us, Voodoo Doll by Vix, Honey by Lay, and Rapapam by Golden Child. The next question we are going to be moving on to is, do you have any K-pop merch? So collectively, we need to talk about Hickey. Now, I know that sounds strange. We live in Orlando, so we are able to go to Disney locations fairly easily. Mm-hmm. We walked into World of Disney at Disney Springs, and they are currently doing a Mickey themed Mickey series for their plushes.
They do like the attractions series.
And so we walked in and we were like just very innocently walking into this store, and all of a sudden this Mickey dressed in full gold and black pirate gear is sitting right in front of our eyes, and we look at each other and we go, oh my god, it's ATs.
Like, I'm so sorry, but as an ATeenie, that would have been an injustice not to buy that.
So we bought him on the spot. And now you might be wondering why we call him Hickey. Okay, his name is derived from Mickey Mouse. Obviously, it's a Mickey Mouse plush. And Hongjung from ATEEZ, who is the captain. So we meshed together their names. Hongjung, Mickey, Hickey. He sits on our shelf lovingly with the rest of our ATEEZ gear and guards it well. We also have a ton of stuff from the boba events that we go to, our cup sleeve events. We just end up collecting so much little things from all the events
from
we
different
go
little
to.
shops. And then some of the things that I have albums. I have a lot. The first one I ever bought was Super M Super 1. Mm-hmm. Rushed to Target, got her, and then I think my most recent one I got was I thought it was BTS Love Yourself Tear, but honestly it might have been Peaches.
Oh, it might have been.
I think it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Peaches. There's no way I wasn't gonna buy it.
Speaking of albums, I own a single album. It is Taemin's Never Gonna Dance Again Part 2. I'm not really big into, I'm kind of a minimalist, to be completely honest. I don't spend a lot of money on items. I'll spend a lot of money on experiences. So I don't own a lot, but I do own that single album, and honestly, I'm completely content with it.
And if I would have gotten into K-pop now, I probably would have been that way. But I did it during the pandemic, which was very dangerous for me.
Right.
Because from then to about, I guess, like mid last year, I was crazy with buying photo cards. Like, I was on Depop and eBay constantly. Mm. And I do have, in my head, I want to say I have a big collection, but I know there are like tens and tens times more bigger collections than mine.
Right.
And like, I'm trying to downsize. I really am. I will get there. But yeah, like, they will take over your life, those photo cards.
So I don't have any photo cards, but I do have a photo wall. I've collected a lot of photos that I enjoy, and I've put them around my mirror. They just bring some more fullness into my room. There's actually a picture of it on our Instagram if you want to go check that out. It's very fun, very cool.
And then one of my other like prized possessions is my BTS 2020 Season's Greetings. This was a splurge. I bought this when I was in Savannah. It was like 2-3 a.m. I was tipsy, so of course I made the
reckless decision.
The correct but reckless decision to purchase this. Honestly, I don't remember how much it ended up being. The shipping was ridiculous, but I'm happy that I bought it because that theme was very like retro, and I love anything like retro 70s. So
we love a retro vibe. Yeah. The last thing I'm going to talk about is my K-pop necklaces. I know that sounds so dumb, but I have a gold necklace with Jimin's name on it that I absolutely love, and I just recently at an ATEEZ event bought a chain necklace with Songhwa's name on it, and they are just beautiful. Anyway. The next question is going to be, have you ever been to a concert? Yes, we have been to quite a few concerts, actually.
Yeah, now we've racked them up.
Yeah. We have, our very first concert was with ONEUS, that we already talked about.
Which was originally supposed to be Monsta X, was supposed to be our first one.
Yeah, there was a lot of cancellations and moving. This was still kind of towards the end of the big pandemic wave. So they were still kind of being weary about it. So the first one officially was ONEUS, and then we saw Monsta X. We were supposed to see Stray Kids, but they ended up canceling because of COVID. They are coming back in March, though, and we are so excited to be able to get to see them then. The next concert we went to was 17.
And then our next one that we saw was Very Very and Omega X. We were able to see both of them here locally. We live like 20 minutes from the venue.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's it's so perfect.
It is. I wish more people came to Orlando. We'll do a whole conversation on that, but luckily Georgia is not unreachably far, so we have been able to travel a bit to see some of these other groups, but come to Orlando, y'all, please.
And then the last trip we went out to Atlanta was for Enhypen.
Yeah. Yep. And then coming up, we do have ATEEZ and then that rescheduled Stray Kids concert. And that's kind of what we have planned for now. I think that's what we have so far. Yeah, we do. There's a couple more groups we want to make sure we see at some point in time. But, for now, that is what we have on our list. The next question is going to be, what are our plans for the Lunapod?
So obviously, the podcast.
Whoa.
Wow, shocker. So we will kind of have different episode structures. So like today's episode, just a normal episode. Very structured, lot of organization here.
Yes.
Then we'll have our chaotic chapters. This is for us to ramble
about various topics.
Just
these are very unstructured, but they're fun. They'll
be the really fun ones.
Yes. We also have what we call group chats. It's going to be kind of like you're talking in a group chat. It's about very specific topics. It's kind of like small talk. It's like we're talking as besties,
And we are considering vlogging or doing reactions. Not going to stress ourselves out too much about that right now, but that's a possibility.
Yeah, it's on our mind. We're also considering doing some vending at some of the events in Orlando. So if you ever see us about, don't be afraid to say hello, reach out. That is, those are some things we're thinking about for the future.
Yeah.
But we're also going to be getting into things like concert and event reviews since we go to so many of them.
Yeah, we'll definitely have separate episodes for each of the concerts that we've been to kind of give you our thoughts and everything.
They deserve whole episodes. And we also just kind of do reels and TikToks of our lives as Orlando K-pop stans. So it's a lot of fun. We are really excited for this whole thing. We hope that you're excited to join us on our fun K-pop journeys, K-pop adventure podcast here. If you want to find us on any social media, we are The Lunapod on both Twitter and TikTok. We also have an Instagram, The Lunapodcast. Instagram is going to be the place you can find the most updates about our channel. And also stay tuned for a possible YouTube in the future. We'll keep you updated, but thank you so much for listening to our very first podcast. Again, we will be getting better as time goes on. This is kind of an introductory, but we're so excited. We hope you're excited as well. Thank you for listening.
Bye.